Right then, welcome back to the channel. 5 things we learned. This is going to be a right laugh, isn't it? Is it the worst team in Manchester United history? It's what the gaffer thinks. I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel like he's right. You know, and it is something I've been saying for a while, that this is the worst United team we've seen. You know, this is a forward line of West Ham levels at best. It's no coincidence when you're not scoring goals that you're not going to be moving up the table. When Brighton took the lead, yes, we managed to get back in from a penalty, but did you have the confidence that this United team was going to go break them down and score some goals? Because I don't. And if you do, what drugs are you taking? Because I would like some. Because this United team just does not have the goals in it to go and compete. You know, you take out Mo Salah out of Liverpool, they're going to be significantly worse. But they've still got players who are scoring some goals. You know, United just don't have anybody that's capable of putting in a consistent number of goals. Ahmad's doing well. Again, this is what we said at the start of the season. You're asking for everyone to have their best ever season at the same time. And that's just unlikely. You know, there has to be a bit more certainty to the sort of things that you're doing, or you end up with the sort of results that we're having. Either way, it was another shambles. It wasn't just a lack of goals. It was mistakes. It was all sorts. So let's get into it. First and foremost, Onana. Could he have come for a cross for the second? Maybe. You know, but the mistake for the third killed us. It's a bit of a speculative cross into an area. There's 3 United players all around it. It's the Brighton player that reacts first and puts it past him. That moment just didn't seal the game. It completely deflated the crowd, the team, and everyone. And you know, don't get me wrong, the guy's made some very good, solid saves in recent games. But some of the mistakes, he's made mistakes. But some of the mistakes are baffling, shocking mistakes. And I think yesterday that cost us points. I think the personnel in the defence is pretty good, generally. I think, you know, the goals that we're conceding are because of team mostly, rather than because of individual personnel in the defence, although, you know, there were mistakes against Brighton. But there's also quite a few goals in recent times which are just down to keeper error. We can't be having the keeper add into the chaos that surrounds us. You know, it's hard enough when you're not scoring the goals. You kind of require clean sheets at the back to even think about winning games, because you're just not going to score enough at the other end to make any sort of difference. So that's not a good place for us to kick it off and to start with. Second, Ahmad or bust. Ahmad's the only player in the team that can take on defenders and beat them. He did have 3 successful dribbles against Brighton, but to be honest, without him, we just do not have any attacking threat, and it's a massive, massive issue. Over-reliant on him means that opposition go, should we just mark the little lad? And then you're not going to do anything. You know, and it's not just on the ball with him, it's off the ball. He's also our best presser. He won 7 ground duels, made 1 interception, and was constantly harrying Brighton's backline. The concern with him is, if you're over-reliant on him, opposition will over-defend against him and take him out of the game, limiting his impact. You're effective as a team when you can't do that. You say, right, Ahmad's a threat. Let's double mark him. Okay, now Bruno is going to get left in space. We can't leave him in space. And then Xerxes is going to get left in space because you're double marking both of those. Like, there's only a finite number of players on the pitch. But when you can sort of... We saw this when we had Wan-Bissaka as a right-back. You could overload on the opposite side of the pitch because you'd be like, leave him, he's not going to do anything. And that's what opposition teams are doing. It's the opposite now with Ahmad. They'll focus on him and they'll leave somebody else who's being... like, they'll leave Delo or something on the other side because he's not going to do anything. And that's the problem. You've got to have threats all over the pitch where teams can't look at any weakness in your team and say, hey, do you know what? Here's what the script is. Happy New Year, everyone. With 2025 here, it is the perfect time for a fresh start. We all have a habit that we would love to leave behind, and whether that's nail biting, doom scrolling, or, well, you know the one. Breaking free is tough. But what if I told you that there is a healthier, guilt-free way to fill that void? Introducing Fume, the sponsor of today's video. Fume is a revolutionary flavoured air device that lets you replace bad habits with good ones in a natural and satisfying way. There is no nicotine, there are no batteries, there are no toxins. It's just flavoured air that's as sleek as it is effective. Fume is crafted with care, it's high quality, it's got a weighted design that feels amazing to use, and it looks great too. Plus, it's not addictive, and making it a perfect alternative for anyone looking to do a fresh start. They've got flavours like cinnamon hearts, black licorice, and the fan favourite, spearmint. There's something for every single person. Spearmint in particular gives you a clean, refreshing sensation. It's perfect for tackling New Year head on. And here's the best part. Fume delivers flavour to your mouth, not your lungs. It's completely vapour-free. You can use it anywhere, at work, in the gym, even during a cosy night in. It's also great for calming anxiety with satisfying snaps, clicks. It's got magnetic interactions to keep your hands busy. Over 300,000 people have already made the switch. Why not make 2025 the year that you join them? Use the code Stephen Howson, that's STEPHENHOWSON, at tryfume.com to get your free Fume topper with the journey pack. Just head to tryfume, that's TRYFUM.com, or scan the QR code on screen. Number 3, pivot. So, balance in midfield. Mainoo and Agate, I thought in those games against Liverpool and Arsenal that they'd become the obvious midfield two, but they didn't click in the slightest against Brighton. They both had decent pass accuracy, to be fair, 85% for Agate and 91% for Mainoo. But most of the passing from the pair of them was a little bit sideways and backwards. None of them managed to break Brighton's press. United didn't really break lines. We couldn't really get the ball moving forward. And a bigger issue was the physicality of it. They both looked tired and lethargic. Is it, 2 games a week in this system, in the Premier League? Does it require 3 players to play those 2 positions? Sometimes Mainoo in particular doesn't seem suited perfectly, I don't think, to a midfield pivot in every single game. Is he athletic enough to cover the ground required? Does Ugate's over-eagerness at times mean that he's too busy? Does he need a different partner alongside him in particular games? Something just didn't jive with him. And a little bit like the Southampton game, the distances seem to be all over the place. When you get the distances right, everything seems to come dead easy because people are just where they're supposed to be, and you can kind of do stuff without thinking about it. Whereas it just felt like we didn't have that thing quite right in the midfield. Casemiro just seems to be just completely isolated and just not in thought of. Collier's coming in, looking serviceable, but I think both Mainoo and Agate have shown at times this season who they are. The difficulty with the team being inconsistent at the moment is finding inconsistent players to create some sort of consistency. And I know that's like a mad kind of sentence that might not even make sense, but we don't make fucking sense at the moment. United are lacking consistency as a team. We're lacking consistency as a team because we're lacking consistency in the individuals. The individuals provide consistency, more of the individuals provide consistency, then you will get a more consistent performance across the team. I'm quite sure of the upper level the likes of Mainoo and Agate can hit. I think it's a very high level. But where's their consistent level? And where can that consistent level be as a pair? And do they bring the best out in each other? I actually do think I would like to see Bruno partnered with Agate in some games as a trial and Mainoo given the opportunity to create a little bit higher up, I think that positional swap within a midfield would suit both Bruno and Mainoo's natural games a little bit more. Let me know your thoughts. Number 4, Amorim. Pressure is mounting. 11 points and 11 league fixtures is relegation form. It's not good enough. We know there was going to be a period of adjustment. We know that there's a lack of pre-season. We are right this second, although there is a link with Dorgu today, which I'll do another video on either today or tomorrow. There's no signings, no January reinforcements. It's a major issue when you're trying to give the team a new system and a new style of play. It's also clear some players aren't fully buying into the system and some players aren't up to scratch. Defensive setup is a mess. Midfield lacks balance. Attack relies on individual moments, and there's not enough quality individuals in the team to do that. His post-match interviews are getting more tense. Every decision he makes is micro-analysed. That's the thing about being Manchester United manager. It can absolutely break the strongest of individuals. Louis van Gaal, uber successful manager, broke at Manchester United. Jose Mourinho, uber successful manager, broke at Manchester United. We saw Jose Mourinho looking absolutely dishevelled and semi-homeless at times, from the suave James Bond looking motherfucker that turned up at Chelsea to whose uncle's this and how much whiskey is he drinking every day kind of look that he had. Shell-shocked at times. David Moyes aged 50 years in the first month of being manager. Same with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And, Ruben Amorim bowled in here, all smiles, all chill. Same with Ten Hag, to be fair. And Ten Hag come in, said the same things. I want hard work. I want discipline. I want this, that, and the other. Eras are here to be ended. And Amorim's saying the same sort of similar shit. They're coming up against whatever roadblock it is. I don't think we'll ever fully understand the pressure of being a Manchester United player or manager. None of us will. We see the way United are treated by the media is different. Rio tells me on a podcast, you think like you're a Premier League footballer, you get to Manchester United and it is different. Owen Hargreaves has said, played for Bayern Munich, came to Manchester United and was like, what the fuck is this? I don't think any of us will fully understand what that pressure must be like. But it is something that every single person, whether they're a player or a manager at the club, is going to have to live with. Because it ain't going to go away. And actually, if anything, it feels like the impatience for improvement is disappearing. Or it's becoming worse. People are becoming more impatient and less forgiving and more hysterical with their reactions to stuff because there's a demand for improvement that's just not being met. Tough gig. And not helped by the financial situation that the Glazers have left the club in for the last 20 years. Alan Shearer with the most Captain Obvious comment ever, like United's recruitment the last 15 years has been shit. Yeah, no shit. We know. Because it has. Overpaid on people, overextended ourselves on contract, acted like the money was never going to run out. Well, it ran out. And you can't borrow anymore because of the PSR stuff. Like, we might not have hit rock bottom yet. And to go from one somber note to another. My preview was obviously pre-recorded ahead of the game going out, and it didn't feel like the right time to talk about it in the immediate aftermath of the game yesterday, but obviously we lost a legend in Dennis Law this week. And for me, he's always been a special player. He was my dad's favourite player. One that I'd always wanted, just for my dad, really, to get on a podcast. I actually spoke to his daughter about it a few years ago, but he was already unwell. He was struggling with his eyesight, and obviously you don't want to push. Was fortunate enough to meet him at the Class of 92 game when the lads had recently bought Salford. They had a game at the AJ Bell, and there was a few people turned up. Dennis Law was one of them. I did get a photograph with my son and Dennis Law and McCullough as well. And we had a very brief chat to him, and he was a lovely, bubbly bloke. I only met him on one other occasion. it was about 16, 17. I saw him at Old Trafford. Wasn't one that was doing the rounds like the way, obviously Sir Bobby was everywhere. I saw Sir Bobby loads of times. Brian Robson, see him on tour, got him in a headlock in a lift. There's loads of interactions with certain legends of the club, and Dennis wasn't one of those. He was very quiet, always worth listening to when you got the opportunity to. But he's a Ballon d'Or winner. He's got 2 statues at Old Trafford, unique in that sense. Obviously, he's got the Trinity that's outside, and he's got the statue inside the Stretford end. And I love that there's one that's just hidden away. It's not like a big on display one. It's not one that you see loads of people getting their photos of. Also, the Trinity is incredibly well photographed. Every Manchester United fan knows about the Trinity, and Charlton, Law and Best, and 3 players from one team, one generation, all winning the Ballon d'Ors. Fucking phenomenal, isn't it? That feels such a distant thing from now. But then Dennis has got that one that's just tucked away. It's right behind where my season ticket is in the Stretford end, in the concourse in there, right behind in there. And it's just a little tucked away on there, just as a nod of acknowledgement to the original king of the Stretford end. So, yeah, we lost another one. And at times like this, you realise, if I hadn't seen such riches, and I didn't see the riches of the Charlton, Law and Best era, that was my granddad and my dad's era. But if we hadn't seen such riches, we could live with being poor. This last decade of Manchester United, I think we've won, there's a good handful of trophies in our banter era. Outside of Chelsea, Liverpool, City, we're probably the most successful club in this era. I think we've won the same amount of trophies in the last decade as Liverpool have. Okay, they've won the Champions League and the Premier League, but in terms of sheer number of trophies, most clubs would kill for our banter era. But because of legends like Dennis Law, because of Sir Bobby, George Best, and then the more recent ones that we had in the 90s and the 90s, we can't accept where we are. This is a banter era for Manchester United, even if it had been most clubs' golden era. But yeah, rest in peace to another legend in Dennis Law. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.